Every time I do a video like this where I want to be one of the first to get it up and I'm not, I just get all blah, exasperated. I don't know about that. Hello, so today I'm going to be reviewing the new Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette. I'm so excited. This finally came in the mail today. I want to create 3 looks with this palette and just kind of tell you guys my thoughts, my first impressions on this palette. And I'm also going to be comparing it to the Retro and the Glam palette. If you didn't know, this is Natasha's take on a mix of the Retro, the Midi Retro, and the Midi Glam palette that she already has in her line. And I'm so excited because this is more of the color story we were kind of like hoping for. Oh, also the Mini Retro. I'm going to also compare it to the Mini Retro because this is the color story we were kind of hoping for when the Midi Retro came out, because Mini Retro came out before that, and Mini Retro had like these fun greens and pinks, and I'm so excited to go ahead and try this out for you guys. If you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe. I do tons of videos just like this where I review beauty products. If you love beauty, this is the place to be. And let's get into it. So this is available, I believe, like everywhere now. I'll have links to it down below. If you have any interest in purchasing it, I would appreciate you using my link. It helps me out so much. And if you do, I just so appreciate it. You can buy this directly on the Natasha Denona website. You can buy this at Sephora. You could buy this at Beautylish, I believe. And I'll just have all the links down below if you're interested. It is $69, which is her current price. She did raise her prices from $65 to $69 for the midi size palette. I'm so glad this is a midi size palette because the bigger palettes, you know, as you know, are $129, so they're a bit more pricey. I'm not sure if she raised the prices on those. She hasn't come out with a full size palette in a bit since Circo Loco, right? Am I thinking correctly? Anyway, this is one of the more pretty packaging I've seen of Natasha Denona palettes. I love the color of the carton. I love the design. It's really pretty. And then also the actual palette. I have already opened it. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't broken before I sat down and started filming. This is stunning. Super pretty. I'm very excited to play around with this. The color story is exactly what I hoped for. The only thing I see potentially being a problem is that there's not like a huge amount of depth that you can get with some of these shades. So I like a lot of depth in my looks, but that's okay. We're still gonna have so much fun playing around with this. So if you're new here, I tend to do 3 looks as a first impression using a palette that I'm reviewing for the first time. I try to do the first look as simple as possible, like kind of like an everyday sort of glam, and then I'll go in and do something a little bit more dramatic and crazy for the second and third look. So let's see if I can do that. Off my first impression looking at this, I think that this has a great mix of cool tone neutrals and blues and pinks, which is exactly what Mini Retro has. I do already see a couple of shades that look really similar to one another, so I'll be interested to apply those on the eyes. About the palette, Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette brings 2 of Natasha's most celebrated creations into a new midi-sized eyeshadow palette. This dynamic color story combines the greens, pinks, and neutrals of the Mini Retro palette with a variety of the Glam eyeshadow palette finishes in a collection of brand new never seen before shades. It's a very versatile color story ranging from muted sage greens and cool browns to shimmering dusty pinks and sparkling champagne neutrals for every occasion. Ultra blendable pigment packed eyeshadow formula with the opacity of a cream and the silky feel of a powder. Super saturated pigments deliver an intense color payoff that stays vibrant, no fading, creasing, or smudging, even without primer. Mix and match and layer to your heart's content. These shadows play together nicely for can't miss combinations. I'm going to go ahead and do some swatches because that's what I like to do to kind of get a feel for the palette and get an idea of what I want to create. Flare is a rosy red with a metallic finish. Jazzy is a dark brown with a metallic finish. Ooh, so you could really smoke out a look. Cool. Oscar is a bronze with a metallic finish. I think the entire first row is like metallic. Oh, no, wait, no. Just kidding. Evergreen is a forest green with a matte finish. And Marlin is a mint green with a metallic finish. I love the mints. So pretty. So that's the first row. We've got Maxi, which is a charcoal brown with a metallic finish. I like doing live swatches, by the way, so you guys can see like the pigment coming out. I'm so sorry that I suck so much though. That was horrible. Then we've got Sage, which is a sage green with a matte finish. This has to be like my favorite shade in the palette. I love a good like aqua teal sage green type thing. Then we have Holly, which is a light dusty rose with a matte finish. And then we've got Fringe, which is a medium mint green with a matte finish. Oh my god, I am sucking so much. This is like every time I do a video like this where I want to be one of the first to get it up and I'm not, I just get all exasperated. And then we have Faye, which is a slate brown with a matte finish. That's gorgeous. Okay, that one does seem to be darker upon swatching it than actually like the way it looks in the pan, so that's interesting. I'm reading from the descriptions from Beautylish right now because Natasha Denona's website is like not loading for me. I don't know why. Oh, there you go. It's loading now. So what I wanted to look on the Natasha Denona website was the cream to powder formula. As you know, Natasha Denona loves her cream to powder formula, and on Beautylish, it doesn't really say whether it's a matte or a cream to powder. So they're completely different. When it comes to her matte formula, it's very, very soft and buttery and smooth, whereas her cream to powder is obviously like it's literally a cream that like melts into the skin into like a powder. And Evergreen, which is this shade right here, is a cream to powder according to her website, and I think that's the only one. The rest are mattes or, you know, metallics, or there's a K. I'm not sure what K means. Maybe it's a topper. I can't remember what K means right now. But anyway, Evergreen is this one right here, and it definitely comes across as a cream to powder. Generally, they're a little bit more difficult to build up. I would go in with those first, and I know that I'm gonna want to create like a look that's like very vampy and like cool like that with these greens. So I'm gonna have to use that one first for sure. I have so many ideas of looks that I want to create. I'm not even done swatching this palette yet. We've got Flutter, which is the Sparkling Light Champagne Pink. That's the one that's a K. So I think it's like a topper type thing. We've got Lucy, which is a matte light limestone. Yeah, it's definitely different. It definitely is much lighter than this one. When I first saw them in the pans in the palette, I was like, these are too similar, but they're really not. This is gorgeous. This one right here. This is Palladian, which is a metallic pastel sage green. Oh, it's so pretty. I could see that going so pretty in the inner corner. Oh my gosh, I love it. And then we've got Belle, which is a matte medium dusty rose. And then we've got Oz, which is a metallic medium dark muted forest green. What a name. I love that. I feel like that has a little bit of a shift. Does it? That kind of looks like a duochrome. A little bit, maybe. It's not labeled as such though, so that's interesting. Here are all the swatches. I have to say I'm really excited to play with this palette. Like really excited, and here's why. Like there's so many combinations I can think of in my head. Like you can go monochromatic, or you can do sort of like a neutral look with a pop of color, or you can do just a really fun green and pink look. Like there's so many options here. Like I'm having a hard time deciding what I'm gonna go with. I do usually like to start with something that's a little bit more wearable, but I might do a wearable with a pop of color to play around with some stuff, because this is fun. This is fun. Okay, let's start. Oh my gosh. For this first look, I decided to go kind of in the pink direction. Pink can be neutral, and in fact when I started makeup, like the Naked 3 palette was my favorite of all time, so I just did pink neutral looks all the time. So we're gonna start with Holly on a Rephr 14 brush, and that's gonna go all over the crease. I love this shade. There is a very similar shade in Circle logo. On a Rephr 13 brush, we're gonna go in with Belle. I know it's a little monochromatic right now, but it's not going to be, I promise. This is a deeper pink. That's just gonna help deepen it out. Honestly, when I'm doing very neutral, like wearable everyday looks, this is how I do my eye looks. I start with the lightest shade, really blend it out, and then I deepen it out gradually. But if I'm trying to do a more dramatic look, then I will do the opposite, build up the deeper shade, and then blend it out with a lighter shade. It just really depends on how intense you want to go. I wish the shade was a little darker, I'm not gonna lie though. I do like depth in my looks, even for wearable everyday looks. I'm actually gonna take a little bit more of Holly and kind of like wing out the edge. They're blending nicely though. For the lid, I'm going to spray my brush. This is a Rephr 28 brush. We're going to take the shade Oscar. Let's see, this is a cute little cool tone metallic. And I think it'll match the pink very nicely. Again, I do wish that the darker pink was a little bit darker. There's not a lot of depth in this palette. Like the deepest shade we have is this Evergreen, which I'm not going to want to take every single time. But this is a stunning metallic shade. I love it. But again, we're trying to do something very wearable and neutral. So for this look, I'm okay with the depth that I'm getting right now. But we'll see for the other dramatic looks that I want to do. I don't know about that. Just blending a little bit more of this deeper pink shade into the metallic so there's no harsh line. For the lower lash line though, we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to take a Rephr 02 brush. It's got like this flatness to it. And I'm going to take Maxi. Maxi, I feel like it has a little bit of a shift. So this is a little deeper than I would go for a wearable everyday look. Like I would probably just put whatever I put in my crease on my lower lash line. But we're gonna try to be different, you know? We gotta do something a little different. I also have been loving shimmer on the lower lash line lately, so hopefully this does not disappoint. I don't think it will. It doesn't come across as intense as it would if you put it on the lid, so that's probably a good thing. Oh, I have an idea. I just got a marvelous idea. Anywho, let's flip the brush over and take Flare, which is the rosy metallic, and put it on this side. It makes it a little more monochromatic, but it adds a little bit of something, like a very nice little shimmer to the lid. I like. Guys, I started doing my mascara and I realized I didn't do an inner corner, so let's go ahead and take Flutter, which of course is like the cutest little pearl, like perfect inner corner shade because it's just like a little shimmer. I just took it on the same Rephr 28 brush that I used before, but I cleaned it off a little bit. So very cute, very sparkly, very everyday. I still want to add lashes because that's just me. Okay, so this is the final first look. I love how simple it was. Like honestly, those of you that are looking for something more everyday, it's definitely doable with this palette. It's definitely possible. So I will say that I wish there was a deeper, for me, even for an everyday look, I want something a little bit more smoked out. But that's just me. I'm a little crazy. You may not feel the same way. This is a very nice, fun, everyday look. The quality is definitely there. I love the color story. I can't wait to play with the greens and just combinations and do different things. I have so many ideas. So let's go ahead and move on to look number 2. Guys, I don't think I've ever mentioned why I do complete looks every time I do these videos. I just like a cohesive look. I like to get an idea of what a full face will look like with each look, so I just want to mention that before I continue because I feel like some people are like, why do you do 3 looks? For this next look, we're going to do a combination of the blue and pink situation that we've got going on. I'm going to start with a What's Up Beauty R103 brush. It's a little bit fluffy. I'm going to take the same shade we took last time too, and that's Holly, and I'm going to take that in the inner part of the crease and really build that up. It is very pastel-y. And especially if you're around my skin tone, it might be hard to actually be seen, but it's okay. It's a gorgeous color nonetheless. And I said that I like to start with the deepest shade first when I really want a dramatic look, but we're going to try it the other way around and see how it goes. We're going to start with Sage in the outer part of the crease. I love this combo though. Actually, this might be deep enough. Honestly, I do feel like this one definitely comes across as a little deeper when you apply it than when it looks like in the pan. I'm okay with it though because it's blending out super nicely. In fact, let's go in with a brush, a fluffier brush. This is just stained, I promise. This is the What's Up R104. It's just stained. I use like a very, very lime green and just blend out the outer edges. I might build this up a little bit more, see how that does. It does build up really nicely. I'm actually going to take a little bit more of Holly, which is the pink, and just kind of blend that towards the blue. Make sure there's not like a harsh line there. You know what? Let's actually go in with a little bit of Lucy on the same What's Up Beauty brush. And let's use that on the outer edges of this shade, help blend it out even more. I haven't used this shade yet, so I really want to. I'm going to leave it there in terms of depth. We'll see. I might go in with something else later. But on a Rephr 28 brush, let me spray it. We're going to go in with Marlin, which is this gorgeous teal. I guess they don't call it teal, right? Oh, do I want to put this everywhere? I don't know. Let's start with everywhere. I might add a different shade later. We'll see. No, I think I'm just going to put it everywhere. Yeah, I like this. Does it stand out more with the finger? Kind of. Okay, one more thing. I'm going to take Belle, even though we already took it. I just kind of want to deepen this out a little bit. It looks a little, like, odd there by itself. And on the lower lash line, we're going to go in with Flare. Just so it has, like, some symmetry, you know. Does it look like I have pink eye with this shade under? Honestly, it kind of does. I love shimmer on the lower lash line, though. I'm getting quite a bit of fallout, but I just realized I forgot to set my concealer when I was retouching after I took off my makeup the first time. So that's on me. Okay, in the inner corner, let's go in with Palladian. I don't know how to pronounce that, but this is a gorgeous shimmery sort of mint shade that matches what we've got going on the lid. Makes me really happy. Freaking love it. Okay, so this is the final second look. I'm so happy with how this turned out. I think it's pretty simple, but it's a lot of fun to combine these colors and figure out what color combos to do. Like, I'm already figuring out what I can do for like my third look, which usually with these kinds of videos, I tend to get like a more smoky, dramatic look, but this is fun. It's so fun and colorful. And honestly, the vibes are there, okay? I'm feeling the vibes, like the autumn vibes, even though you might not think, like it's kind of almost pastel-y. And honestly, some of these shades might be found in the pastel slash circle loco palette, like very similar shades, but I don't know, I just get the vibe of like fall with this, like a really cute little like colorful version of fall, like fall with a twist. So far I'm really loving this. The quality is top notch like always, but let's move on to the third look. Okay, for this last look we're gonna try and smoke things out quite a bit. So we're gonna start with Evergreen, which is the cream to powder formula. Let's see how deep this can go. I hope it can go pretty deep. We're going to concentrate this in the outer corner and blend it upwards into the crease. Ooh, good. Okay. So far, so good. I really, really want this to be like super smoky. I'm also just going to take this in the crease with whatever's left on my brush, just bringing it toward the inner part of the crease and blending it outwards. Gorgeous shade. By the way, if I didn't mention, that was a Rephr 13 brush. I love that for packing on the deeper shades of the outer corner because it's really dense and it does a great job. Now we're going to take Fringe and now we're going to blend out that original shade. Yes. Oh my gosh, I love this combo. They're blending out so nicely. Yay. We're going to leave it at that for now. I might try to build it up even more later on. I'm going to take a Rephr 28 brush, spray it, you know the drill. And we're going to go in with the Jazzy. So this is a really intense, like bronzy, well, sagey is what it's called. Shimmer shade. I just really want to smoke this. I want this to be a super intense smoky eye. Yes. Exactly what I wanted. Again, I wish there was like a shade like this, but like in a matte form, this kind of tone, so it could help blend out into the crease without putting shimmer into the crease. I'm gonna have to like do a little bit of blending with the matte. I'm gonna build up some intensity with Evergreen in the outer corner and just kind of like make sure that it's blended with the shimmer we just put. I just wish it was a little deeper. Like this particular Evergreen shade, like if it was like a touch deeper, it would make this an even more cohesive like smoky eye, you know? It's still really pretty. I do like it. Just have to do some blending into the crease, and I don't love shimmer in the crease. And I think I'm just gonna take the same shades I took in the crease on the lower lash line just to make it really cohesive. Starting with Evergreen really close to the lower lash line and then blending out Fringe. And in the inner corner you can take whatever shade you want. Like I would go with Palladian. I don't know how to say that. And it would be really cute, but I want to do something a little different, like a pop of something. So we're going to take Holly and see how that looks in the inner corner. Just a little pop. I don't normally love mattes the way the mattes look on me in the inner corner, but I just thought it would be fun to change it up a little bit. It's light enough that it looks good in the inner corner. Okay, so this is the third and final look. All right, my thoughts on this, my first impressions, because even with 3 looks, I don't know exactly, like I can't make a final review, obviously. So this is a first impression. I think that there needs to be a few deeper matte shades in here to go with the really deep shimmers that we have going on here, because I would have loved this look even more if I could really smoke out the like crease and the outer corner. I mean, this isn't bad. I like it, and I think it would actually look really cool with some pink thrown into it too, maybe. But I do think that there are so many looks you can create with this palette. If depth doesn't really bother you, you just want this for the shades because these are unique shades in your collection, and definitely go for it. The quality is there. The mattes are great. I love the cream to powder. I wish there was a little bit more cream to powder formula and again, deeper mattes. That's all we really needed from this, but this is exactly what I thought retro would be like, the midi retro. With that said, I did want to talk really quickly about pastel because there are a couple of shades in here that just remind me. Now, again, this is more like, I think of sagey greens as like a really fun fall kind of color scheme. This is obviously more spring. We've got like a lime green in here, a yellow. The palette as a whole obviously is not going to be the same concept as this, but I do think that there are a couple of shades in here that remind me of the new palettes. We've got Dirty and Brisk, which are a blue and a minty green. And so this is the blue, Sage. and a minty green. You know, they're not exactly the same hues, but they're very similar. And I just wanted to point that out. Horrible swatches, but you get the idea. And within the same palette, we've got Tulle, which is another one that's very similar. You've got Mint Frost, which is similar, and Dainty. So, Tulle is similar to Belle over here. And we've got Marlin. I feel like Marlin's not like a crazy metallic, but they are super similar. This is the new palette, and this is the pastel. And then we've also got Flare from the new palette, and that looks kind of similar. I mean, not so much, but just so you know, it's definitely dupable. If you have a pastel palette, some of these shades are dupable in there. Very similar concept with Circle Loco. Just take a look at these side by side. Obviously, Circle Loco is a bright ass palette. We've got Cotton Candy. We've got Fun to Mime. We've got Snow Cone. What else? I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. Razzle Dazzle, I guess, is kind of similar to Flare. So these are from the Circle Loco. And then I'll tell you which ones are from the Retro Glam. We've got Holly, Sage, Flare, and Marlin. Right? Again, very similar concepts. A lot more cool tone, I would say. Oops, I should have switched those, but you get the idea. Dupable. Not exact shade like replicas, but you know, it's dupable. Of course, really quick, I wanted to talk about Midi Retro, which is one of my favorite palettes of all time. There's not that many shades in here, I would say, that are that similar. We've got Jude and Glitz. Well, Glitz is like a lot lighter, so maybe not. I don't know. This is just, it's a unique palette within itself. Although this is what I was hoping more for Retro the first time, because Retro Mini had more of that green effect to things. But anyway, here's Flare, which is a lot darker, so it's not going to be the same. But I feel like Jazzy can be pretty similar. You know, so we've got that. It's not exactly the same, but obviously I thought of Midi Retro, even though that wasn't the concept behind this Retro Glam palette. It still reminds me of it. I just know that if I wanted a pink look, I would go directly for the Retro palette and not really for the Retro Glam palette, because there's only a few pink shades, whereas this is literally like an entire concept of like pinkish berries, you know? Okay, the ones that inspired it all. We've got Glam. Honestly, there's only a few shades in here, I would say, that are similar. And it's going to be the neutral ones, of course. The ones that I didn't even really use. I barely used them. We've got Lucy and Faye from the new palette. And we've got Transition and Crease. I forgot that these names are not like what they should be. So Transition definitely looks a lot like Lucy. Very, very similar. And these two are a little different. But, you know, again, very dupable within this palette. I think if you have Retro and this palette, you almost don't need this palette if you have also Circle Loco and Pastel, because you've got the blues in there and the mints. I don't think you're missing out on much if you have those other palettes. In other words, I just like that it's already curated, laid out for me, and I have so many ideas of other looks that I want to create with this palette. And of course, in the Glam palette, we've also got like some shimmers that remind me of the new shimmers. Both outer eyelids. I can't believe she named them this. I forget this all the time. And then we've got Jazzy and Maxi. So similar. Look at that. Extremely, all four of them. And these two are from the same palette, and these two are from the same palette, and they look almost identical to one another. I find that absolutely insane. Obviously, they have slightly different hues. And then, of course, we have Mini Retro. These two shades are broken, so I gotta be very careful. But, you know, we've got this shade over here, this shade over here. Flare is definitely deeper. So not really dupes right there. I mean, not at all. We've got this matte compared to like the pinkier mattes. These are way more pinky. So not even that similar at all. Way more pinky. This shade I feel like is literally identical to Jazzy. I feel like I like this shade more, the one in the mini Retro. They're very similar. I mean, this one just has more bam, right? Am I crazy? The one from the Mini Retro is just super sparkly and gorgeous. And everything I would have wanted to be in this palette, although I wouldn't have wanted another dupe, you know? And then, of course, the last shade in the Mini Retro is a little bit deeper than any of the other like neutral mattes we have in the new palette. So I feel like this palette is actually a really good companion palette with the mini retro as well. So if you wanted to combine some more, like I wish there was an even deeper shade, honestly though, a deeper green that I can mix and match. If you own all these palettes though, definitely this is also a great companion palette with the rest of these palettes as well. But easily dupable within your collection if you have those other Natasha Denona palettes. But also I just think it's fun to have something, you know, curated for you, laid out for you, so you can just pull it out and play with it at your own will. You know what I mean? Like I have so many ideas of other looks I want to create. Let me know if you want to see a 5 looks 1 palette, because I can make that happen. That is so fun. Bottom line is it's a great quality palette. If you're looking to purchase it but you're worried about the quality, I wouldn't worry about the quality. Quality's there. It's great. I love it. It's just, I think you can easily dupe it if you own those other Natasha Denona palettes. So if you're on a budget and you're like, I don't know if I want to spend this money right now, maybe hold off. Maybe she'll do a sale soon. I'm not sure if this palette will be included in any Black Friday sale she'll do. But yeah, let me know what you think about this. Did you pick it up? I would love to know which look was your favorite. I don't know. I love them all for different reasons. I'm not like entirely super happy with the smoky eye. I wish it could be even more smoky, but I still like it a lot. And yeah, that completes this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and hopefully I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye. The new Natasha Denona retro what? Guys, I started putting on mascara and I realized I didn't do a lower lash. Not a lower lash. Guys, I started putting on mascara and I realized that I haven't did. What the frick? Guys, I started doing lower lash mascara. Okay, wait. Let me figure out my life, man. Guys, I started doing lower.